All right, folks, welcome back to Flatiron Tuning. We're here in the shop with some more news for you. Subaru, they're maybe talking about bringing back manual transmissions to their SUVs because they want to sell more cars, but maybe they're in the middle of an existential crisis. Like, why does Subaru even exist? We're going to get into it. Before we do, just want to say make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on mobile, hit that hype button. That helps us get the word out, helps more people see these videos. We greatly appreciate that. That support goes a long way to making it so we can come back here and make this content for you. And of course, head over to flatironstuning.com. Anything that you need there, that support also is what makes it possible for us to keep coming back and making these videos for you. So let's dive into it. All right, the first piece of news here is that Subaru is apparently sending out surveys to Subaru owners. This is not a publicly available survey, but they're sending that to Subaru owners and asking, would you be interested in a Subaru SUV with a manual transmission? Well, now, when we're talking about SUVs, this is now the majority of their line. We're talking Forester, Outback, the Ascent, all of these are now classified as SUVs, so they could be going into any or all of these cars. And I think if you're watching this, my guess is the answer is a resounding yes. There would be an interest in having a manual transmission in any of these cars. And as we've said a number of times here, if they would take the STI drivetrain or the STI 6-speed and put it in, like the Ascent and STI Ascent, STI Outback, these sorts of things, I think there's a big possibility there. I think Subaru is sleeping on this because there's going to be a lot of demand for that kind of car with a little bit more performance. And I mean, people love manual transmissions, so why wouldn't you do it? Now, why would Subaru be asking this? Well, clearly they want to know what we as enthusiasts are looking for, what Subaru owners are looking for, because they want to grow sales. So another piece of news that has come out is that the way that Subaru is planning to try and increase their profitability. We talked about this last time, that the profits are down. They're estimating as much as 70% for the 2025 fiscal year. Well, they want to sell more cars. In fact, by 2030, their goal is to sell 1.2 million cars. So that's a lot of growth. Well, if they're going to sell that many more cars, there's got to be a lot more demand. They've got to get a lot more people excited about the cars that they're selling. So this manual transmission question makes sense. It also makes sense, that they're talking about bringing back the STI. Of course, there's a lot of demand from us as enthusiasts for that car. So if you're trying to sell a few 100,000 more cars per year, well, you got to make sure you're making the cars that people want. Which brings us to our last point, which is Subaru in an existential crisis? Are they ever not in an existential crisis? Well, where does this come up? Well, the Carmudgeon Show, that's one of my favorite car podcasts, and on episode 225, Jason Camisa and Derek Tam-Scott happen to talk a lot about Subaru. Now, Camisa, he's got a little bit of a tumultuous relationship with Subaru, and he freely admits that. But there was a really interesting point that was made, and I'd say after you watch this, go and watch that segment of that episode of their podcast. I'll put a link in the description, starting where they're talking about Subaru. But here's the interesting question that was brought up, not by Camisa, but by one of his coworkers, which was, why does Subaru exist? Now, the point that this person made was, this is their point, is that Subaru is inferior to its competition pretty much across the board in every segment because they're more expensive, they're less reliable, they're not as fun to drive, and they get worse gas mileage. Now, I don't agree with any of these points, but here's the question. If Subaru's trying to grow, they're trying to reach out to their customer base, make more of these cars that we want because, again, they're trying to sell a lot more cars. This, I think, seems relevant to these first 2 points is, what is it that Subaru's doing right? What is the reason that we like Subaru so much that keeps us, excited about these cars? But what could Subaru do more to maybe compete more with some of their competition, that sort of thing? So what I'd ask you to do is go over, watch that segment of the Carmudgeon Podcast, episode 225. It's about 10 minutes or so of the conversation. Then come back and in the comments below, let me know what you think. What is Subaru doing right already? I mean, because obviously they're growing year to year. There's a lot of people that like Subarus, and of course, we're a lot of those people, certainly. But what could they do to make them even better? Is it more performance, be more competitive, more excitement in their cars? And there's also a discussion about their presence in motorsports, which we have talked about on the channel a fair amount. The reason I ask this is because, one, I really want to see what you guys think, but two, I think this question of why does Subaru exist and what are they doing right and what could they do better, this is a deeper topic worth maybe a deeper conversation that we're going to come back to, but I definitely want to see initially what you guys think after you listen to that part of the podcast. So that's where we're at. That's the news here for this, I guess, the third week of February. Thanks very much for your support as always, and until next time, stay tuned with Flatiron's Tuning.